Speaking of social degradation, there's a Democrat Congress lady, Brittany Pettersen, I think her name is, who is demanding. She walked up to the microphone on the floor of Congress with her fellow congressmen around her, carrying a little baby, and she demands that Speaker Johnson violate the Constitution to permit proxy voting, so no longer require that legislators actually show up to cast their vote in the chamber, but they send someone else to do it, because sometimes women give birth and they want to stay home with their mothers, but they still want to vote in Congress. And so we need to shred the Constitution, shred hundreds of years of norms, shred the legislative process, because this lady can't bring her baby into Congress except when she wants to showboat and make a point about how she doesn't want to show up to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to this rule, which restricts moms and dads from doing their jobs after welcoming a new child. Like so many of our colleagues, it's one of my greatest honors to be a mom. I have 2 little boys, a son named Davis, who's 5, and my little guy here, Sam, who's now 9 weeks old. It's also one of my greatest honors to have been elected by my constituents to represent them in Congress. And I can tell you, after being a mom here and being only the 13th member to have ever given birth while serving in Congress, voting member, I can tell you we have a long ways to go to make this place accessible for young families like mine. When I was pregnant, I couldn't fly towards the end of my due date because it was unsafe for Sam, and you're unable to board a plane. And I was unable to actually have my vote represented here and my constituents represented. After giving birth, I was faced with an impossible decision. Sam was 4 weeks old, and for all of the parents here, we know that when we have newborns, it's when they're the most vulnerable in their life. It's when they need 24/7 care, when taking them even to a grocery store.
That's true. So why are you taking them to Congress? Why are you even going to Congress and collecting all those germs and coming? She says she was faced with an impossible choice between caring for her newborn baby and flying to Congress to pursue her personal political ambitions. That's not an impossible choice. That's not a difficult choice at all. At least it shouldn't be. Newborn babies need their mothers. Constituents need their legislators. We don't always feel like we need our legislators, but we do. That's how the government works. That's how we're supposed to make laws in this country, according to the Constitution. We do. People need government, actually. Both of those statements are true, and life entails limits and responsibility. A person cannot simultaneously do both of those things. To be a mother to a newborn baby, we're talking days-old baby, you need to be at home with the baby. You need to do what's best for the baby. You need to put your own personal ambitions aside for a second, okay? And to pass laws, you actually can't really do it just by texting from your couch. And you really can't do it just by appointing someone else to be a legislator in your stead. That's not what your constituents signed up for. That's not what the Constitution demands. You do have to go to Washington, and you got to wheel, and you got to deal, and you got to form relationships, and you got to do that job. And the baby has needs, and the constituents have needs. And you can't do them both at once. What are we going to do? Are we going to install a delivery bed in the cloakroom? Well, we can't have... If we follow the Constitution and do not permit proxy voting, that's the logical conclusion. Because what if there's a vote while this woman's giving birth? She needs to be able to vote, right? So we could install a delivery bed in the cloakroom, or we could ignore the Constitution. We could just make it a regular rule of the U.S. Congress that you don't actually have to show up to vote, or even to wheel and deal, to come to negotiations, to try to form coalitions, to do the actual work of a legislator. You can just do it. You can just do it from your couch. And look, maybe we should just raise the whole Capitol building at that point, because you don't need to show up. You just do it virtually. We can zoom in to our legislative process, right? We could do that. Or hear me out. Here's my crazy idea. Maybe people who are about to become new mothers can wait until the kids are out of diapers, at least, before pursuing their own personal political ambitions and prioritizing that over the other things that they want in their life, like raising a family. Just an idea. Maybe our legislators, at the very least, can recognize that life requires one to make some choices and respect some limits and fulfill one's responsibilities. That should not be a tough choice. Some people are really mistaken about this. They come out, they say, oh, how good it is that there's a baby in Congress. It's really normalizing babies. And we need more babies in America. And we do need more babies in America. Our birth rate has collapsed. Family is a good thing. Our popular culture speaks of babies as though they were some kind of sexually transmitted disease to be avoided at all costs. So that's true. We do need to normalize babies. But not everywhere. Babies should not be raised on the floor of Congress. It is not appropriate to bring babies to Congress. Congress is a good thing for all of its flaws. It's a good thing that we have a legislative body. And babies are certainly a good thing, but they don't always belong together. I love babies. I have 3 of my own. I hope to have many more. I also love cigar bars. I don't take my baby to the cigar bar. It is not appropriate to bring babies to every place. There are different spaces for different aspects of your life, okay? Different parts of this complex, beautiful tapestry of human life. And no, being the mother to a newborn baby does not mix with the work of being a legislator. There's a reason that only 13 voting members of Congress have ever given birth while serving in that body. Frankly, I'm shocked the number is so high. But this woman, she wants to have it all. Go to tryarmra.com/Knowles. Have you ever wondered what gives elite athletes such as myself, and also business moguls and high performers, their edge? Many of those people use Armra colostrum. This remarkable superfood is nature's original whole food supplement containing over 400 bioactive nutrients that work at the cellular level. Armra helps build lean muscle, speeds up recovery time, and enhances overall performance without relying on artificial stimulants or synthetic ingredients. Research has demonstrated that colostrum enhances your body's ability to absorb essential nutrients, supports the development of lean muscle mass, and improves endurance, and it works at the cellular level to accelerate repair and regeneration, helping you bounce back faster after intense physical exertion. I'm not saying that Mr. Davies is a greater athlete than I am. However, Mr. Davies was very, very excited when Armra colostrum came on the show because he's a big fan and uses colostrum for his workouts. And maybe, when I start buffing up more, then maybe I'll have to go join Davies in the gym. Okay, but it does. Even if you're not working out, Armra colostrum is great. Really helps out your microbiome. It's good for a whole lot of reasons. There's a reason it's nature's first superfood. Receive 15% off your first order right now at tryarmra.com/Knowles, 15% off at tryarmra.com/Knowles. She wants to have it all, and so she's teamed up not only with other Democrats, but actually with a Republican, a supposedly conservative Republican legislator, to whine to CBS News about how those sexist Republicans won't let mommy simultaneously take maternity leave and be a constantly active, doesn't miss a vote member of Congress.
Historically, it's been much more wealthy, older men who serve in Congress. This isn't designed for young families and for young women especially.
Congress was designed and built for old white men to represent themselves. And we've made a lot of progress since then. We get into it because we're public servants and we care about representing our community. But there should be some accommodations for family things that come up, like the birth of a child.
It's not like I'm faking, to go party in Cabo, right? Like I'm actually trying to A, recover, but then B, also care for a newborn.
That woman, that's Anna Paulina Luna, right? That's a Republican, a supposedly conservative member of Congress, who is sitting there. Well, one of her colleagues says, this body, Congress, is just really, it's only ever been for those terrible old white men. I hate those old white men. And then we've got a Republican legislator sitting there smiling during that statement with Republicans like this who needs Democrats. And then she says, well, look, it's not like I'm partying in Cabo. The reason that I'm missing votes is because I'm giving birth to my kid. Well, that's good. It's good to give birth to your kid. I'm glad you're doing that. But then you need to prioritize that. You need to go this is not like the kind of job that you need to do to feed your family. No one says, golly, it's the bills are getting harder to pay these days, so I have to take a second job as a member of Congress. This is a purely elective, pun intended, position that one takes to pursue one's own political ambition. It's public service. It's supposed to be a sacrifice. You're supposed to be giving up some of your personal ambitions, giving up some money that you could make, in order to do this job. You got to make sacrifices. And when you're a new mother, you need to make sacrifices for your child, not for your constituents in the best view of Congress and for your own political ambition in the other view. You gotta pick some things, okay? I don't care if I'm a constituent of one of these members. I don't care if they're missing votes because they're partying in Cabo or because they're nursing their sweet little baby. A job has to be done, and you cannot do everything at once. A person might like scuba diving and a person might like playing the ukulele. But it's not a matter of injustice that a person can't play the ukulele while scuba diving. It just doesn't make sound underwater, okay? It's just not going to, it's just, those things just don't go together. To hear this line, as these legislators are complaining to CBS News, the Congress isn't designed for young families. Yeah, you're right. You're right, it's not. So I'm not, look, to me, if the choice is between having a family and being in Congress, pick the family every day. Congress isn't that cool. I've spent plenty of time around Congress. It's not great. Okay, that is such an easy choice. But Congress is not supposed to be designed for young families. The irony is Congress actually has a very, very extensive daycare system. But okay, you don't want to drop your kid in daycare. You certainly don't want to drop your newborn in daycare. Good, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to do that either. But then don't be in Congress. Okay, there are plenty of other people who could do this. Good. I guess the thing that's really triggered me about this story is that it's not just a Democrat complaining about this. That we've got supposedly Republican conservative legislators. Anna Paulina Luna quit the House Freedom Caucus over this issue because her colleagues didn't think we should shred the Constitution and turn the floor of Congress into a daycare. When there's already a daycare in Congress. It's just, good grief. It's making me realize that we talk about the right and the left, but really the debate between the right and the left these days is just between the extreme super duper far left and the slightly less extreme super duper left. Are there any conservatives left? Is there anybody with common sense left in the country? I don't know. I'm glad you liked that clip. Before you go, ring the bell, subscribe. Then you'll be connected to me. We'll be tethered in a deep way, in a way that I hope will never permit us to be separated. See you next time.